He nodded him meaningfully. Before you hang up, I want to say me and Baxter are dating. Really? Scott gasped out a single word. His glasses nearly fell off his face with how fast he leaned forward. At least he didn't hit the phone that time. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Death by Pony. Today we're hopping back into our lives. So without further ado, let's go. We may have chosen Baxter's route, but Cove is hot. The person who answered the door at the Adams house couldn't have been either of the Adams. You knew that what you hadn't been expecting was the 6'4" figure of Cove Holden. But there were no complaints. You and your longtime companion immediately shared beaming smiles. It couldn't be helped. You were happy whenever you got to see each other, and it was the same for him. Hi, James. Sup, funny running into you here. But since Cove had gotten the reward of being the first to greet you, he also had to take on the responsibility of greeting the other guests who arrived sheepishly and sit back. Hey, thanks for coming.
Good day.
Hello, Cove. Thank you for allowing me to attend. Yeah, so come in. Cove punctuated that with a tilt of his head and totally forgoing any explanation or even acknowledgement of the strange circumstances. He then turned his whole body to go. You followed him to your former abode. Oh! Inside, you found an even bigger surprise you had in the entryway. This friendly get-together was, in fact, an actual party. The brown leather couches and matching wood coffee table had been removed from the room entirely. There was also the addition of twinkling fairy lights strung along the walls. At the center were Terry and Randy, looking quite pleased with themselves. The two had been the masterminds for whatever is happening. Baxter glanced to Cove, confused, but hopeful that the green-haired man might be only a henchman and more willing to spill the plan. Cove smiled, had gone lopsided, and merely shrugged one shoulder. Ta-da! Ooh. It's an appreciation party for everything you did for Jude and Scott's wedding. Terry respectfully saluted your arrival like you were fellows in arms.
Very nifty.
We couldn't have done it without you. Right, and Terry helped a ton too. He did more than even me, I think.
Well.
But I already have a different thank you for that. Yep. Terry draped one arm around his darling girlfriend and used the other to make an arc through the air. She's going to take me to a bunch of pieces down the coast of California. It's going to be historic.
Ooh.
Oh, you're going on a trip? Baxter was attempting amazement with his reaction, but a knowing amusement couldn't be fully removed from his tone. Neither could the hint of a chuckle. It came across like a teacher being impressed that their student told them 10 came after 9. Miranda squeezed eyes shut and grasped Perry's hand as she mouthed, "Thank you." "That's wonderful." "Thanks, anyway." Not wanting to make the evening about her, and because she was embarrassed, Miranda swiftly changed the subject.
Well.
You can both enjoy yourselves now. James did all that work for free, and Baxter didn't get to enjoy the ceremony or the reception since you were running them. We really wanted to at least a little something to make you up for it. She's speaking for the three of us. Cove actually helped this entire evening. Isn't that amazing?
Hey,
I'm not a party person, but I try as much as I can. You certainly do, Cove. We appreciate you as well.
yeah.
Also, there's food. Sorry, there's no homemade cupcakes. We've got other stuff, though. Thanks so much. Hooray for food. Didn't have to do this. Yeah, cupcakes, man. This party's a bless, you tease. Gave your friend a thumbs up. You teared up at the gesture. You didn't have to do this, but we wanted to. Baxter's voice softened and his disbelief was honest at the time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Getting your own appreciation party had definitely caught you off guard initially. But honestly, you should have known the group would have something up their sleeves. They'd become addicted to the party planning life, and they will always return your kindness in turn. Baxter should have too, now that you thought about it. This was already the second party these people had thrown for his sake. Miranda ended your train of thought with a clap of her hands. She was smiling sweetly.
So.
If you want, we could even get dressed up again and make it a fancy party. It wouldn't be any trouble. There's enough time to do it and come back. And I know there's not a lot of chances to do something like that. Baxter gazed at you. You did the same towards him. His mouth hung open in slightly, usually a silent look, and then you laughed freely and fully. A trio of celebration conspirators were suddenly at a complete loss. I apologize. Baxter covered his smile with a hand, realizing belatedly that his behavior was not quite gentlemanly. This is genuinely thoughtful, and it means a great deal to me that you went through the effort. The humor here is, well, the truth is, James and I already had the same conversation. We had already gave ourselves an opportunity to dance in formal attire again. It was just last night, in fact. What? Your friend group erupted in unison, even faster than when Baxter gave a formal sign-off through the text. Terry threw a hand up and passionately.
Yeah.
Do you know how fast we put this together? He kept one arm straight out in the air to hold out 2 fingers. It hasn't even been 2 days.
Not bad.
Correct, we don't waste time, I'm afraid. Baxter's cool answer dropped Terry's arm and his jaw for good measure.
No way.
There's a limit. You cannot be that much of a social butterfly. Be a snail sometimes, B-man. Miranda gently took hold of Terry's shoulder. It grounded him enough to stop sputtering about insect metaphors, and then she took her own turn at asking questions. Where did you go? Baxter slipped his finger down, smirking mouth. He gestured his hand, casual flicks of his wrist. We have a place. Wow. Exactly as you hadn't expected them to arrange a celebration in your honor, Miranda, Terry, and Cove never could have guessed you and Baxter would have had your own little party for 2. This is still great. It's not your fault we're like this. It's okay. Thank you. I mean it. Hey, it's the thought that counts? You smiled apologetically. You shrugged. It's the thought that counts. Exactly. Baxter restarted his effort to convey his appreciation.
You're too kind.
Having a chance to celebrate with everyone here is incredibly special. Thank you all. And if it helps, our impromptu outing didn't include decorations or refreshments, excluding still water and paper cups. His words landed around the room, but bewildered stares regained their sparkle. Terry punched his fist into his opposite palm. Go for it. Forget fancy clothes. Let's eat those snacks already.
Yeah.
Nice, free food. Okay. The crowd migrated towards the dining table. It was stacked with a mix of sweet and savory, pre-made, homemade delights. Getting all dolled up might have motivated Baxter's preferences, but the food was clearly to your taste. All your friends knew you well, but there was one person in particular who was likely to thank for it. It came in hand to have somebody around who'd been by your side almost your entire life. Still, there was enough variety that everybody else spotted something in the spread they wanted too. The big draw was the single bright red handle of controller cake that ended up on the menu. Terry assured you, Baxter, they got permission for that. Just don't touch the wedding cake. They're saving it for themselves, and you wouldn't want to see Scott steamed. Uh-huh. After all the drama with that thing, those guys grew attached. The party kicked off as the gang stacked and chatted. Cove, while piling a tiny plate with one of everything, mentioned how his dad was doing the same old, same old. Mr. Holden sent you a hi back. He said hey to the wedding planner guy, too, though they never really talked before, not even when Baxter was saying in Sunset Bird. That was nice. Baxter cracked a joke that if he had known this was such a grand event, he would have brought a bottle of champagne. Terry helpfully explained if Baxter had known this was a grand event, it wouldn't have been a surprise anymore. Baxter nodded at those wise words. Miranda listened in exchange, but didn't give her 2 cents on it. She quietly ate her slice of cake. Then the doorbell buzzed. To that pause on the conversation, Baxter was the first to react to the call. Allow me, I believe I'm familiar with who is here.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. He politely excused himself, and it was only a minute. He was leading the new guest into the room. Xavier had a large plastic container in hand. What's this? They asked musically while glancing around at the dazzling fairy lights. I didn't know you were inviting me to a party. We didn't either. In a smaller voice than usual, Miranda tried explaining herself to the stranger.
Sorry.
Sorry, it was meant to be a surprise appreciation party for James and Baxter.
Woohoo!
That's so sweet, and it means I was right to bring something to serve. Now I can also share my appreciation. It's miscellaneous leftovers from today's lessons at Zacky's, but still, they're fresh enough. Ooh, thanks. You're welcome, one of the many perks of being friends with a baker.
That's sweet.
Xavier, you two are kind. I regret even further not thinking to bring something myself.
Don't apologize.
Why would you have to? It's your party. Introductions were exchanged as Xavier cracked open the treasure chest of treats. Inside were eclairs, brownies, and a variety of muffins. They were given a spot on the table, a plate for snacks. Xavier wasn't a stranger anymore. Taking a snappy bite of a chip, Terry said something you didn't entirely understand. We've almost got a full house. Almost? Miranda replied to your question over her shoulder while she searched the room. You hadn't even noticed she'd started that.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna get Jude and Scott on a video call. Wait, is it fine to bother them on their honeymoon? Baxter's brows disappeared under his bangs. And he shot out a concerned look. Miranda nonchalantly located her purse, more importantly retrieved herself from it. Is it fine they're going to be insulted? No, heartbroken if they don't get to check in on what's up with us kids. The phone was already ringing. Randy held it out towards her face as she navigated to the snack table. Terry's right. They've been calling me all the time. I already got to talk about the plan. Now that's how they knew it was fine to serve the cake and move their stuff. Then I will leave this to your discretion. Baxter ran a tense hand through his hair. Few things chafed him more than reaching out to someone when he wasn't completely, entirely, and wholly certain they wanted it, but he was learning how to face that fear. The ringing stopped, and in his place a deep voice filled the space coming from the thousands of miles away. Yo, Randy Scott's here too.
Hey.
Hello from the Southern Hemisphere. Were they surprised? You can ask them yourselves. She flipped her screen around to reveal to Jude and Scott squishing together so they both appeared on screen. Terry and Cove both waved, though only Terry spoke out.
Buddies.
Hello from your own house.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Xavier. I made the wedding cake. How nice that we could meet after all. Cool, thanks for that.
Whoa.
It's amazing to see you. Your cake was stunning and delicious. You're welcome. I'm flattered. Baxter smoothed out non-existent lines in his jacket and gave a perfectly proper greeting as if he was meeting the two for the first time in a way he was. This would be Baxter's first encounter with the men as anything other than people who needed his services. To someone else, that might have been nothing. To Baxter, it was monumental. Thank you for letting us make use of your home as a venue. I've never had a more considerate client. You started it. You treated us as way more than just clients. In his excitement, Scott knocked his husband's phone. Scott managed to steady it and get back in frame before any real harm could be done to the device. Remember the groom's cake? The appreciation party fits the bill.
Well.
Ah, yes, that, well.
It's good.
Seriously, dude, relax. We're friends. The ruler, straight line of Baxter's shoulders relaxed as he released a silent breath. Yeah, I suppose we are. That keeps happening to me. I'm glad for it. Off to the side, Terry smiled mischievously. Rather than joining the conversation, he posed a question exclusively towards Miranda. He's friends with all of us, right? We're sure of that on that now?
Wow.
I hope so. We're not grown up enough for him. Baxter graciously ignored the light teasing and gifted him with a rare earnest admission, though it had a feeling it wouldn't be such an uncommon thing any longer.
Certainly.
Of course I'm friends with you when you're friends with me. That's why we're here with each other. And don't worry if the closing of all the celebrations and the end of summer itself won't be farewell. I'll be available for you as far as I can possibly foresee in the future. You know where to find me, and I'll make my own efforts to maintain these lovely friendships.
Great.
Good. Keep it that way. Baxter couldn't speak further. The most he could pull together was a shaky smile at the two men on the other end of the call. When he cast his eyes around the room, Baxter was quite literally surrounded by people who wanted to be there for him. It was enough to choke you up. You knew more than most about Baxter's emotional struggles with other people, but mainly himself. He experienced the ups and the downs and intense closeness of the vast distance. None of it changed the truth. He was a good man. Somehow, someday, someone would have seen that. It was inconceivable otherwise. Baxter would have found the friends he deserved no matter what. You are grateful you got to be numbered among them. Though you weren't Baxter's friend per se, you were his boyfriend. And by that point, everyone knew. Everyone except the ones housing the party in your honor. June and Scott were behind the times since going on vacation. You guys slowly crept away from the crowd into your new lover. When your eyes reached his face, you realized he was already looking back at you. He was thinking what you were thinking. You couldn't imagine any other reason Baxter would suddenly stall. Before you hang up, I want to say me and Baxter are dating. Jude, Scott, are my boyfriend now. While you were on the phone, I should tell you Baxter and I are in a relationship. Got Baxter's sleeve encouraging him. You nodded him meaningfully. Before you hang up, I want to say me and Baxter are dating. Really? Scott gasped out a single word. His glasses nearly fell off his face with how fast he leaned forward. At least he didn't hit the phone that time. Are we the last ones to hear about this? Randy couldn't help tease both her big brothers.
Yeah.
Yep, it's been a whole 2.5 days already. You're slow.
Hold on.
We're kind of busy. Wait, hold up. Jude shut his mouth and squinted. He was mentally counting the days. After being in the bliss of literal honeymoon stage, it took a second before he grasped on the normal passage of time. You started dating at our wedding? You figured it out. It was after you had left. Scott pushed his glasses back into place, letting that revelation truly sink in. Our wedding brought another couple together? No, we brought a couple back together.
Amazing.
That's awesome. It is. Thank you, I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Glad you're on board, because we're never going to break up again. You smiled ear to ear. Never breaking up again. Jude snuck his hand past Scott to ruffle his curls. His face was full of pride and something else, too. Yeah, of course. Who could have seen that coming, huh? Scott snorted into his husband's shoulder. Baxter used the opportunity to lean over and whisper in your ear. I didn't quite get a chance to admit this, but Jude accused me of having feelings for you during that day I was alone with the two. I managed to dodge the question at the time, but Jude has been proven quite right. Oh, your turn to be surprised. He could have been the one. He could have that one. It was extremely funny seeing the usual mild Jude get puffed up. It's about the same time an entirely different conversation was occurring.
Preposterous.
So now that it's official and everybody knows, you've got to go on a triple date for real sometime. What? It'd be fun. Remember the bowling? Jude replied flatly, but not moved in the slightest. Miranda nodded firmly in agreement with her family.
Not happening.
It's weird to go on a date with my little sister.
No.
The bowling was different. They weren't a couple then. But Terry was merely waved off the sibling concerns. Oh, my eye. We'll work on the details later. But hey, we don't have to stand around. Terry suddenly declared the party was really about to start. Let's get the music going. It's time to dance. That got Cove to snort out amused. You're really high energy about slow dancing. True, and that would be delightful. Okay, I've got it. Randy scurried off as soon as someone might beat her into the chore if she wasn't quick enough. In one corner was a speaker used at the wedding. She flipped a couple of switches on it. Her phone had been left propped up on the counter screen facing out. Scott and Jude could have hung up at any point, yet remained on the line. They decided to attend the whole shebang long distance. The two had plenty of experience with that. It was nice to be there, so spend time together. Nobody had it in them to draw attention to it, but the thank you party had dual purpose. It was also a farewell party. That's where we're going to cut that. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the content I'm making. Remember to subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back here to see what happens next, and I won't take up any more of your time. I hope you have a good day. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.